All right, I am going to show you how to create the quizzes in Canvas, and this might be a lengthier process than maybe what we might end up doing later in the semester, but for right now, this is how I'm making the first quiz. So I'm going to go into my course. I still have mine cross-listed, and I'm going to scroll down and click on quizzes. And then you can see I've already started the process right here. I'm just going to finish it out and show you what I've been doing, but I hit new quiz when I went to go create this one right here. So I'm going to go into this existing quiz that I made and hit edit and show you some of the settings. So I went ahead and just named it after the lessons that it covers, and then that way hopefully it'll be very obvious to students that like, oh, I'm supposed to go back and review this for this quiz. And so underneath the quiz details, I went ahead and pasted something into the quiz instructions, and I can put this in the Google Drive so that we can use the same verbiage for all of the quizzes if you guys like this, and we'll just change whatever info needs to be changed per quiz. I'm going to make it 10 questions. If we want to change that later, we can, and I just listed the topics that are covered in this quiz, and we can actually link to that lesson in Canvas right here. We can just go ahead and link it so they can go back and click on those lessons if they want to. I just haven't done that yet. And then I have a little blip about their attempts and how to use the attempts wisely. And that way we can at least say we communicated it. You want this to be a graded quiz. It'll be under assignments. A lot of these settings are pre-populated. You want to make sure that it's syncing to Infinite Campus. That's the whole point of using this, that it syncs and we don't have to enter a bunch of grades. I also selected shuffle answers, and that way their answer choices are randomized every time they attempt the quiz. We don't need a time limit, but we do want multiple attempts. We want their highest score, and we want to allow 3 attempts on the quizzes. We do want them to be able to see their responses, but only be able to see the correct answers after their last attempt. So that's why I selected these settings right here. You don't need any of that filled out. You want to assign it to everyone. So when it's in your cross-listed section for the course, it'll automatically assign it to everybody, like all 4 sections or however many sections you have for that course. And then we need to select the due date. We can talk about this a little bit later, but what I did is I just went to the magic calendar that Jamie made, and I saw right here that quiz 1, we've got it set for Wednesday the 14th, but we're also going to be covering that same information on Thursday the 15th, depending on when your longer periods are, like which periods you see on which day. So I went ahead and set the due date for the quiz for Friday the 16th, just for right now, because that way it gives the Thursday kids time to take it, but we can change that later. That's not a big deal. Just for right now, that's how I have mine set. And then I hit save after I did my details page. But then you guys will come up to questions, and this is where we're actually going to put the questions in from Edgenuity. This is the part that takes a little bit of time, and we can talk about how many versions of each type of question for each lesson we want, and it might cut down on a lot of the work. But what we're going to be doing is creating question groups, and that way it'll be able to pull random questions from, kind of like question banks for each lesson. It'll pull random questions from those banks to create the quiz. So their 3 attempts might be very, very different. They might end up with totally different questions the second time they take it, but the topics will be the same. And again, if we want to change that, we can. Right now, mine says 60 points because I haven't done the last section yet. I did lesson 1, lesson 2 questions, but I have not done lesson 3. That's what I'm about to walk you through. So what I did is I hit, let's see, is it right here? No. Hang on, it might be down. It's down at the very bottom. You should see something when yours is blank. It says add question group. That's what you want to do. Let me scroll down to the bottom and show you that. So you'll do new question group. And then I named my question group after the lesson that it covers. So I named this question group lesson 1. And since this quiz covers lessons 1, 2, and 3, I'm going to just say 3 questions from lesson 1, 3 questions from lesson 2, and 4 questions from lesson 3, because that one's the expressions, and I feel like that one might be weighted a little bit more heavily anyway. So I just made it 10 points per question, so we'll have a total of 10 questions at 10 points each for 100 points. And the way that these questions get imported is you have to do a lot of copying and pasting from Edgenuity. So once you create your question group, just pause for a second and you need to log into Edgenuity to grab the actual questions. And when you log in, it should look a little something like this. I got to it from Clever. And you're going to go to Courses, Manage Courses, go ahead and type in Algebra, and we want the Georgia GSE Algebra 1. When you do the checkbox, you'll get this More drop-down, and you want to view the course structure. And then here is where you'll see all of the lessons. So this is Lesson 1, Quantitative Reasoning. Lesson 2, Dimensional Analysis. We need to do Lesson 3 for this walkthrough, Expressions in One Variable. And what you want to do is click on Quiz Answers, and it'll open up a new window for you. Go ahead and make this bigger. Over to the left-hand side, you'll see all of the different questions that go with this lesson. We don't want the test, we don't want the review, we want the quiz questions. And you can see that there are quite a few. There are 16 questions that go with this Lesson 3 quiz. We obviously can't use all 16 questions, but I'm going to put all 16 into the question group in Canvas, and then Canvas will randomly pull 4 of those. So you're going to hit Show All, and then it'll show you all 16 questions or however many there are that go with that particular quiz in Edgenuity. I'm going to pop my windows side by side to make it a little bit easier on me. So I've got my Canvas open over here on the left, and I've got my Edgenuity open over here on the right. I forgot to create this question group. So I'm going to do a new question group, and I'm going to call it Lesson 3, and I want to choose 4 questions at 10 points each. Boom, it created your question group. And so now all of the questions that you add by copying and pasting from Edgenuity need to be nested underneath this particular question group so that it pulls from that group. So I'm going to use the plus button that says Add Questions to this group. You don't have to change anything right here unless it's not a multiple choice question. There are different types. And it tells you more about the type right here. So like enter your question, multiple answers, select the one correct answer. Some of the other question types that I've seen so far are multiple answers. It's like a checkbox question from the old OHS. But this question 1 over here where I'm pointing is just multiple choice. So I'm going to make sure multiple choice is selected. And my window is really squishy because I've got it side by side. But the question box is this first box right here. And you're just going to copy and paste. So I do a real quick, like 3 clicks over the text, and I do a lot of Control-C, Control-V to copy everything. Or you can just select the entire question, copy, and paste. And I'm done entering the question. Now I need to enter the answer choices. So I'm going to come down here to Answers. The way that you can toggle correct and incorrect answers is with the arrow right here. So if I don't want this one to be correct, I would uncheck it. If I wanted this one to be correct, I would just click that one instead. I've been leaving it like this and just copying or typing the correct answer first and then filling in the rest of them because their answers are going to be in a random order anyway. It doesn't really matter. So you can either copy and paste or just type it in depending on how lengthy the question is. And then let me see if I can find one that has any pictures. The cool thing about this is the copy and paste does the formatting really, really well. So all of like the equations and stuff, those copy over very, very nicely. I'll have to go back and show you one where the answer choices are pictures. Let me finish this one right here. I want the little italicized C in my answer choice just like it is. I guess it's not going to do it. Just like it is over here. I think it looks nicer. Let's see if I click the edit button with the pencil. This is where you can, there we go, copy and paste images as your answer choices. So if it's a graph or a table or something that's a little bit more complicated than just some text, if you click for the answer choice, the pencil button, it'll open up a more complex text editor and you can paste pictures or tables or in this case, expressions like with the nice italicized equation type in here and just hit done. And now you see that it looks more like it does in Edgenuity. I'm going to do the same thing with this one. Control-C, Control V. Just, it's a picky thing with me. You definitely don't have to do that. When you're done entering all of the answer choices that you need for the question, you click Update Question, and then we're good to go. And so see how the question is nested underneath the question group that I created for lesson 3. You want to make sure that you do that. If you don't use this plus button to add questions to the group, and you just use new question instead right here at the bottom, the new question that you make with this button will pop up outside of the question group, but you can drag them around. So you can drag them in and out of question groups as needed. I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do one of the multiple select ones, just because I saw one of those in this particular quiz. Let me see. So like this one right here, this is question 9 from the lesson 3 quiz. And I want all of this to be in my answer choices where they can select 3 choices. So I'm going to go ahead and take the text of the question, paste it, but this is not multiple choice. This is going to be multiple answers. Come down here, and then this is where you will toggle and select more than one. So you can see that I now have 2 correct answers. You'll just enter however many it is that you need. I want my nice formatting, so I'm going to use the little pencil button on mine. This one is not a correct answer, though, in Edgenuity, so I'm going to uncheck that one. And again, just do whatever answer order makes sense to you. If you want to put all the correct answers first and then incorrect answers after, do whatever. Sometimes this like freaks out on you, but if you save the question and go back to it, it should fix itself. This one was also a correct answer. And then my next 2, see right here where it has the little checkbox because I copied and pasted, I don't want that in there. So I'm going to remove it. You make sure that it's not in those other ones. I don't know why it does that. So see, if I just by clicking and messing with it, now it's making it pop back up. I don't know why it does that. It's just weird. And I need one more answer because there were, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the default is 4. So I need to add one more. This one is going to be correct. And so I'm going to select that one's also a correct answer. And I'm done. So I hit Update Question. And it's underneath, it's nested with my lesson 3. And so until you add 4 questions or however many you need, you'll get this little error message that the question group is set to pick more questions than are available. That's okay. We will fix that later just by adding additional questions. Let me go ahead and add all of those questions right now, and then I'll pop back when I've got it done. All right, I went ahead and added all the questions to the question groups that I needed. And this is kind of like your summary page. So I make sure that it does add up to 100 points. Just check your settings real quick. It's good to go. You can preview the quiz right here if you want to, just to kind of see what it would look like. It's obviously just a draft version, but there will be 10 questions. You can make sure that it automatically did that for you. And you can see that it pulled randomly. So like question 1 should come from lesson 1. I think that's how it'll do it. It'll do like questions 1, 2, and 3 will come from lesson 1. Questions 4, 5, and 6 should be from lesson 2. And then questions 7, 8, 9, and 10 should be from lesson 3. And it looks like it did that. So now I'm happy with it. I previewed it, whatever. I'm going to just click Keep Editing, I guess, to go back. And it says not published. And it's also not shared in the Commons yet. So the way that you share it to the Commons is you do the little 3-dot share to Commons. And then this is where you will enter all of Georgia Cyber Academy. And then for the metadata, we can go ahead and change the title right here if we want to. We can do like Algebra 1, Lessons 1 through 3 quiz. Or we can say Unit 1, Lessons 1 through 3 quiz, just to make it a little bit more specific and hopefully it'll be easier to find it. Over here, you can change the picture if you want to. I'm just going to make the description the same. And then for an image, you have to pick one. I might go in and change this later. I'm just picking a picture so that it'll let me save it. For the grade band, you want to select 9 through 12 and then hit share. And this quiz should now be published in the Commons where you all will be able to find it. And so you'll go to Commons, search for this, and then hit import download into your Canvas course and then be able to move it where it needs to be within your module.